Hello class, this is Professor Quigley and I'm here to get you through the last problem of week 9 and potentially the last complicated problem of this course because next week we go on to some HTML stuff which really doesn't apply here. So for 9.11 you notice you don't have a pseudocode document there, so I apologize for that. We will work on getting you one there. But I think if I just explain this to you, we could work this problem together. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start. I do think if you read through this paragraph of text, it kind of makes sense. However, I think it's kind of confusing, so I'm going to try to explain it a little differently. All we are going to do is build an application that accepts, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to accept 5 integers. It's going to take all 5 of those integers and put them into an array. Then what our application is going to do is it's going to have a function that's going to determine which of these 5 integers is the lowest one. And so, for example, we have 30, 50, 10, 70, 65. So 10 is actually the lowest number. What we're going to do then is output 5 numbers that have 10 subtracted from them. So you'll see 30 minus the lowest number 10 is 20. 50 minus the lower number 10 is 40. 10 minus 10 is 0. So you see how that's working there? Our program is going to accept 5 digits, and then, or 5 integers to be precise, and then what it'll do is it'll sense which is the lowest one, and then subtract that value and output all 5. So let's go ahead and get started here. So here we go. I'm going to do my copy and paste here where I take every line here, copy, and go ahead and paste that in there. And you notice that we have some integers that are already declared for us. But I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go ahead and get ready for my for loop by declaring integer I. And then I'm going to use that min int. And keep in mind, this is the function we're writing. This isn't the main program. So we're literally just writing the code here to get the minimum input from an array that was passed in. So we're going to say min input. We're going to make an assumption here. We're going to say the minimum input, we're going to go ahead and set that to the first number in the array. And if you think back to some of the problems that we had a couple of weeks ago where we're comparing 3 digits, we're trying to say, hey, which of the 3 is the lowest? That's all we're doing here. And in that problem, we made the same assumption where we just said, let's just pick one, and we'll just say, hey, is this one less than every other one? And eventually you'll be able to confirm or set it right. So you'll see, I promise. So min input equals user value 0. So that's going to be our first assumption. Then we're going to do our for loop. So we're going to say for I equals 0, where it starts. Then we're going to say I, so this loop is going to run as long as I is less than user vals dot size. And then we're going to do our counter where I equals I plus 1. 3 spaces here, so that way we are over here within this for loop. And this is where we're going to do that simple check that I just was describing to you. We're going to do if user vals, if the current one from our iteration is less than the one that we just picked and assumed was the smallest. If that's true, 1, 2, 3. So that way I know we're underneath this if statement. So what I'm about to write here will only apply if that condition is true. We're going to set the min int to equal user vals from this iteration. And that should be it for the function. So just to recap, this function is real simple. It just accepts one array, but then it's going to return the lowest number. So integer I, we're going to make an assumption what the lowest one is, then we're going to loop over all of this, and then we're going to say, hey, is each value the lowest? And if so, if it's lower, then we'll set it. So now let's go ahead and write our main function. So we'll do function main. This one's going to return nothing. I say return, but yeah, make sure you type it with the S. Returns nothing. Do my space here. So we're going to declare that array that we're going to fill up. It's going to be an integer array that's going to hold 5 values. It's going to be called user val, so that way we can make this easy. We're going to declare an integer called current value. Then we're going to declare another one called min value. And then we'll declare our integer again for our for loop. So let's go ahead and copy and paste some code here. We're going to copy our for loop that we've already written once. And this is what we're going to do here is we're going to loop over that array. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to say user vals I equals get next input. You guys should be rock stars at this by now. So anytime you guys are asked to declare an array and fill it up, you guys have now done this a bunch of times. Now, we have our array. We've filled it up with the get next input. Now we're going to leverage that function that we just wrote. So we can say the min value is going to equal get min int, provided I spelled that right. Let me double check. Copy, paste, boom, yep. Now, in order for us to get the min int, we have to pass in the array, so user vals, boom. So that's it. Well, sorry, not it. We still have more to go, but we declared an array, an integer array. We called it user values. We declared current value, min value. We're doing our for loop, where we're looping over here, and we're setting the values to everything that they type in. Now we're going to say the minimum value. We're going to pass that array into a function, and that's going to return to us what the, out of all the items in that array, which one was the smallest amount. And once we have that, we are now going to do our for loop again, because now that we have that minimum value, we have to subtract that minimum value from every number. So we're going to put user vals I minus min value to output. Then we're going to put to output. And I believe that's it. So let's go ahead and check that. I hit check, boom. So I have a mistake here. So error parsing the second part. All right, well, let's find out what my error actually is here. And I think it might be, And sure enough, my error is because I believe I spelled integer wrong. So I think integer has to be spelled, man, if you guys have been following these videos all course long, you know that I do this all the time. Integer. And you notice because I copied and pasted it, I got it wrong everywhere. Did I spell it right there? Boom, I got it right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and check that now. So check, boom. Expected put format, put string to output. So what did I mess up here? Put user val I minus minimal val to, oh, I spelled output wrong, so I'm going to hit next. Forgot the T. Boom, hit check, and boom, we are done. And just like that, we are done with 9.11. So pat yourself on the back. That was probably the most difficult programming activities that you've had this entire course. I know a couple of weeks I said it gets easier, but a lot of that's just because you're not really learning a whole lot new. You're just kind of stringing a bunch of things together. However, that's not to say that week 9 is not very, very difficult. So pat yourself on the back because there's not many people who can do what you just did. But take care, and I look forward to seeing you next week.